My name is Mr. 2020. You are listening to the Power of Imagination podcast, where we explore one thing and one thing only: the wonder working power of the human imagination. Neville Goddard called the imagination Jesus Christ, your savior. Well, I'm imagining the pregnancy test and calling my mom and telling her I'm pregnant. So, wow, okay. So if you're imagining calling your mom and telling her that you're pregnant, your wish is to have a pregnancy test give you a positive result, right? And she's like, no, 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 no. I want a baby. I said, you're imagining the wrong thing. You're going to continuously struggle with that. And here's the pattern, as we've seen this a lot. They imagine a pregnancy test that's positive. Oh, that sounds positive, doesn't it? Yeah, positive. I'm going to have a positive pregnancy test. And I'm imagining telling my mom, and it feels so good. And then for the next 7 months, you worry about spotting. You worry about what if there's something wrong with the baby. You worry about all kinds of things because you've manifested the wrong bit. In how to manifest a baby, we give a really cool solution. And this is a pack that's good for everybody. My buddy Tim picked it up. He didn't want to have a baby, but he knows I put gold into everything I do. And so, in how to manifest a baby, one of the secrets that we put in there is you imagine your baby having a baby. In other words, it's many moons in the future. And your baby's having a baby. In other words, I'm going to be a grandma. I'm going to be a grandma. I'm going to be a grandma. You get what that implies? That not only did your baby come out happy and healthy, but your baby's happy and healthy enough that I'm going to be a grandma. And you notice that's an inner experience. I'm going to be a grandma. It's a feeling. It's not an affirmation. And here's the thing. If you think you're doing the formula right and you're not doing the formula right, you're still not doing the formula right. Yeah, I live in Australia. We drive on the proper side of the road. In America, we drive on the right-hand side of the road. Most of my life, I drove on the right-hand side of the road. For the past 15 years, except for a very brief window of time when I got stuck in America again, I've been driving on the proper side of the road. Now, here's the thing. If I believe that the proper side of the road is the right-hand side of the road, or like Victoria, if I just decide to take my half out of the middle, that's called humor, by the way, I'm in trouble. And you're in trouble if you're imagining the wrong slice of time. In other words, you stop imagining getting a text that implies your wish is going to be fulfilled. Yay. We teach something wonderful called the coffee game. And the coffee game is a real simple way to avoid having to figure out what to imagine that implies your wish is fulfilled. Ready? Let's say you're on a shift that you don't like. And on the shift that you don't like, you don't enjoy that one sip of coffee like you would if you were on a shift that you love. See, I love getting up and hitting it. So I make the coffee, I sit down, and I enjoy a sip of coffee while I'm hitting it. I like to get work done by 11 in the morning. I'm up at 5, done at 11. Yeehaw, right? So I experience one sip of coffee with that eager anticipation of hitting it. On the other hand, I got a friend. She's lovely, Sophie. Sophie doesn't believe in getting up to the crack of noon and going to work till 4 in the afternoon. And Sophie gets up and she just enjoys a sip of tea at noon, just knowing she doesn't have to go to work for 4 hours. That she can enjoy the poetry and motion of the garden. Glory be to her. Now, here's the thing. We both experience one sip of coffee in a way that fulfills us. But here's the secret of the coffee game. Here's why I love it and why I invite you to dive deep with it, because there's some really cool bits to this. Coffee is something I would do if I was on a shit shift. Coffee is something that I do living a life that I love. It's the same coffee, but I experience one sip of that coffee very different. And that's the key. You want to take an event from your life that you already have, an event from your day that you already have, and an event from your day that you will have after your wish is fulfilled that you would experience differently. and you experience that one sip of coffee differently. This is what moved me around the world to be with Victoria. This is what has given me a dream-driven day every single day of my life. What I want you to do is pick an event, like one sip of coffee, something that you do before your wish is fulfilled, like now, if my wish is not here yet. Yeah. And one sip of coffee is if my wish were fulfilled. Now, there's layers to this, and I know this is useful but incomplete, but there's only so much I can put into a podcast for you. And so I invite you to get the coffee game at NevilleGoddardStore.com. I'll put a link up to it. It's a lot of fun. It's not that pricey, and it'll totally change your life. And it'll teach you something just marvelous. So if you got gold today, if you realize I've been imagining the text instead of the tango, because the dance of your life will be different. One sip of coffee of your life will be different once your wish is fulfilled. And we call that the tango. Dive deeper, soar higher. Let's imagine up something yummy as we go into the silence. So I want you to get how practical and tactical this is. I moved to Australia to be with her. I did not move to Australia to sit in traffic. And so I took one sip of coffee, and I imagined having my one sip of coffee in my Ames chair while reading your emails, while making these podcasts, while writing these articles. One sip of coffee, knowing that what I do makes a difference in the world, and I make good money doing this. Wouldn't it be great to make good money while you're doing good? We can help with that, but I digress. Because here's the deal. I used to be the guy that lived on 7-Eleven coffee. I'd pull over the salesmobile and I'd go get my cup of coffee and I'd go out and sell credit card processing and do business consulting. And I had a blast. I made good money, but I was never home. And that does not lead to a good marriage or a good life. And I imagined up something different here by doing one simple thing. My sip of coffee in my chair, helping my people from the comfort of my own home as I listen to traffic drive on by. Instead of 7-Eleven coffee, in traffic, never home, hoping to get home before bedtime. My name is Mr. 2020. This is The Real Deal, kids. Thank you for listening to the Power of Imagination podcast. If you got gold today, sharing is caring. Share the show because we cared enough to share with you. And I just want more playtime and more playmates in the world. Less people going for the struggle of suck. Have a great day. And again, the coffee game at NevilleGoddardStore.com. See ya.